Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to plant some pretty flowers and perennials in my stackable tires, but I'm not just going to put one flower in the center and hope that it looks pretty. What I'm going to do is use this perfect method for creating a perfect pot called Thriller, Filler, and Spiller. Let me tell you about it, and I think that you're really going to like this and perhaps utilize it for your garden too, so you can make perfect pots. Have you ever gone to the garden center or nursery and you're just amazed at how beautiful their pots always look? You take flowers home, you plant them in yours, but they just don't quite look the same. Well, that's because the nurseries and garden centers use this perfect pot combination called Thriller, Filler, and Spiller. Let me just quickly explain what that means. You're going to love this, and I know you're going to utilize this in your garden too. I was so excited when I found this out. So the Thriller, that's going to be the tall plant. That's going to be kind of in the background and give it height. You could use a grass, you could use a salvia, a verbena, anything that's tall. If your pot is in the shade, perhaps you would use a coleus. I'm going to use this Liriope for mine. The flowers will get taller and it will get bigger. Now the filler is the plant that fills out the pot, gives it lots of color and it just gives it that substance. For my filler, I'm using a petunia. You might want to use a lavender plant, a miniature rose, basically anything that is not as tall as the Thriller, but lower. Now, I'm also going to use marigolds for my filler. So marigolds and the petunia, that's what I'm using. If you were going to plant yours in the shade, you might want to use a impatient because that likes shade and that kind of spreads out. Now for the spiller, that's going to be the plant that kind of trails out and elongates the pot and just gives it more interest. I'm going to use a sweet potato vine. I just love the way the lime green is a contrast with the orange and the pink. I just love the way the colors are just contrasting off one another. You could also use ivy or the trailing vinca, any type of plant that trails. You get the idea. Thriller, filler, spiller. Now I'm going to amend the soil and plant up my perfect pot. As you are about to see, my soil is super sandy, which is great because it drains very fast and most plants like well-draining soil. However, because it doesn't retain moisture, I do like to amend it with compost. I try to use a compost that I make myself. However, my compost is not always ready to use. So when that happens, I just buy cheap little bags at the big box store. I think I pay only $5 or $6 for each bag. So it's a great way to amend the soil without spending a lot of money. The reason why I chose Liriope, let's just call it lily turf. It's the same thing and so much easier for me to say, as my Thriller is because, well, I know it's going to do well in my garden and it makes these pretty bluish purplish flowers. Plus, when my filler and spiller die back in the winter, I know the lily turf will remain green, so there will always be something to look at. I chose petunias and marigolds for my filler because, once again, they do very well in my garden. And I just thought the bright colors would be so beautiful contrasting against each other. Plus, they have the same light and water requirements as the lily turf. So in my opinion, they're going to make great companion plants. And now for one of my favorite plants of all, the sweet potato vine. I didn't have to think twice when I picked up this plant for my spiller. The beautiful lime color green foliage is going to look so vibrant against the orange marigolds and hot pinkish purple petunias. Plus, I have grown this in my garden before, so I know it's going to perform very well for me. Now I'm going to give them a good drink of water so they can be happy in their new home. And in case you're wondering if I'm going to fertilize them, not just yet. Upon taking these plants out of their pots, I noticed there was already fertilizer in the soil. So I'm going to wait a couple weeks before I give them anything. Ta-da! And that's how I make a perfect pot. Of course, it's just planted. And it's going to take a while for it to grow, but I think you get the idea, right? I hope this video encourages you to grow a perfect pot in your garden too. Thanks for watching.